Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Chop House. Now, I'm kind of thinking you guys are getting the same vibes, or maybe just me. Chop House, I mean, it could actually sound a lot more sinister, where, I don't know, people go into some kind of butchery and bodies come out. Or, in a much more pleasant way, a steakhouse of some sort, and I do miss steak. I don't know if I've actually mentioned that Mrs. Sleuth is vegan / vegetarian. She does occasionally eat kind of animal-based products like honey. I don't eat a lot of meat necessarily at home, so I do miss it. Now, today's puzzle is from James Sinclair's Artisanal Sudoku series. And once again, I have gone back to the third one in the free sets that he puts out, which means there are two difficulty ratings in here. There's one with extra clues, which I'll also link down below. And based on what I have just said, you know that I'm going to be deliberately playing the harder one as you guys wish me to. Anyway, you get to choose your own adventure. Let's take a look at today's puzzle and rule set, Chop House from James Sinclair, with the following set of rules. I think the rules are just about legible, aren't they? Just going to move it around a tiny bit. There you go. Right, rules-wise, we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row. Every column, of course, every 3x3 box, so nothing unusual here. We've got killer cages. The sum of the digits inside each cage is equal to the small number in the top left corner, and digits cannot repeat within a cage. So these 4 cells have to add up to 30, and I cannot have any repeats. 30 again, 10, etc. Renban lines. Purple lines contain a non-repeating set of consecutive digits in any order. So if this cell is a 2, for example, on this 3-cell Renban, I could have 1, 2, 3. I could obviously have 2, 3, 4. What I couldn't do is skip a digit and have 2, 3, 5. A little bit obvious when it's in the same box, but even when it's not, I couldn't repeat digits, for example. A double 2 is not a consecutive set of non-repeating digits. That doesn't work. Digits in cells with a square, with a shaded square must be even, so these cells are even, therefore 2, 4, 6, or 8. Digits in cells separated by a black dot have a 1 to 2 ratio. So if this cell is a 2, for example, this would have to be 1 or 4 to make sure that one cell is double the other. And that's all the rules we have for today. So, as always, if you want to play along, link in the description down below for you to do so. Remember, 2 links, so you can get to pick one that I'm playing right now or the one with additional clues, depending on how you get on. And let me restart the clock and see how I get on. Right, so first things that are obvious is that the 10 cage is 1, 2, 3, 4. The 30 cage is 6, 7, 8, 9. No other way of completing a 4-cell cage otherwise. So these are 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. I was trying to avoid pencil marking them, but let me just do that. Now, I guess the Chop House description is around the fact that we seem to be chopping things up around this square here. Let me have a think around what's going on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells long. So when it's 6 cells, and I'm going to just put up the number line in here, and notice that absolutely 2 of them have to be high digits. So at a minimum, 6 and 7 are on this Renban. True for this side as well. Now on this side, because this is 10, this is at least 3 and 4 in here. So I need a 5 for sure on this Renban. And I suspect I will need on this Renban in a second, but we'll take a look. And 5 are not any of these cells. 5 is not an even digit. That's our first digit. That's a 5. And essentially for this particular Renban, to get to 6 cells long is either 2 through to 7 or it's 3 through to 8. Now, what do we know about what's going on in here? So 12 in 4 cells have to have 1 and 2. Essentially, if you do not have 1 and 2, let's say you just have the 1, 1, 3, 4, 5 is the minimum set of digits that you can include in 4 cells, that's 13. You've broken it already. So 1, 2, 4, 5 and 1, 2, 3, 6 is essentially the 2 ways you can get to 12 in 4 cells. which you see forces a 5 on here, I'm going to say. 5 can't be here. Yeah, 6 cell Renban. You know, why am I making this difficult? Even if I start at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 is in it. Even if you start at 9, well, it'll go all the way to 4 and 5 is in it. Where is 5 on this Renban? Well, it's not here. It's not an even digit. It is on the 12 gauge, which is on the Renban inside the 12 gauge, which immediately tells me it's not 1, 2, 3, 6. This is 1, 2, 4, 5. And this is not 1 or 5. Obviously, it's an even digit. Right, what else can I figure out? So these are even digits. Yeah. I mean, because I'm going from 2 to 7 or 3 to 8, these even digits can literally be any of these. Sorry, having a think about what's going on in here. So here is an interesting thought. So where is 7 on these Renbans? Notice they're not inside the 10 or 12 gauge. They're not on the even cells that are outside. It's not where the 5 is. It's not where the black Kropke dot is, because half of 7 is 3.5, double of 7 is 14. So essentially, 7 is forced inside the 30 gauges. Now, whichever one is the 7, it forces the other one to be the 7. Hopefully that makes sense, because if this is 7, that can't be 7, but this Renban needs 1, so it will have to be this one. Okay, so no 7s in here. One of these two and one of these two is a 7. Is that remotely useful? No. Another thing that is useful is there is no 1s on the Renbans, and there is no 9s on the Renban. I don't know how I missed that for so long. So I know I should think out loud. It's just I'm noticing 6, 7, 8. I'm wondering if one of them is 6, 7 and one of them is 7, 8, and I'm just trying to think through why would I think that? Oh, here's something else. Renban, they all have to have 3 all the way to 7. This Renban, where's the 3? Well, it's not here. It's not an even digit. It's not inside the 12 gauge, and it's not inside the 30 gauge. That's 3. That's 6. That is not 6 either. So that's an 8-9 pair. This is starting to get very interesting. It's a very clever puzzle, very cleverly constructed. And now I get the significance of the even squares. Right. Have a think around why they're significant for a second and just appreciate the genius of this construction. So one of them has to be 4. One of them has to be 2. Now, I'm just going to show you this for a second. Let's just make this as the assumption. If that's 4, that's forcing a 2 on here, and therefore this Renban is 2 through to 7. However, no 2s in here. No, but this could be still a 2. Oh, for a second I thought I've definitely proven that one of them is going to be an 8, one of them is going to be a 6, but that is not true. I think I'm on the right track, but this square and this square is trouble. How are they trouble? How do I progress this puzzle? 3 and 5 in box 5. They're not in here. They're not 2, 4 or 8, 9. That's 3, 5. This is 1, 7. This is 1, 7. Now I noticed earlier that if this, now let's, if this is 7, that would be 7. And then you end up with these sort of verticals. If this is 7, that would be 7, and you end up with these horizontals around where the 7 can be. So I'm kind of wondering if this is significant somehow. Can't quite figure it out yet. So one side, if you remember, is going to be 8. And then the 9 would be forced in here. Then the other side is 9. We'll remove the 9 from there, but you end up with 6, 7, 8. So I still can't tell them, oh, hang on, Sleuth. Here's a 1 that's been waiting for a while. The 1 is not on the Renban. Here's another 1 that's been waiting for a while. I'm sure you guys were screaming at your screens saying, come on, Sleuth, seriously. I mean, not that it's necessarily advanced to solve much. Right, let's lose this discussion point and let's just seriously focus around what's going on here. Because I am not getting it. So let's make an assumption for a second that one side has the 2 on the Renban. So no 2, that becomes 4, that becomes 2. No 2s, that can't be a 2 anymore. So genuinely nothing stops me from having another 2. Yep. I'm kind of wondering then if it's something to do with parity. So 2 through to 7 and 3 through to 8, I need to have 3 even digits. Essentially it's 2, 4, 6 or 4, 6, 8. And I'm essentially thinking I have line of sight of one of them in both cases. I need 2 more. And I can only have, so all right, okay, so I have one of them in here, either the 2 or the 4. I have another one in here, so I have 1, 2, essentially 1, 2. So these cells, one of them has to be even. And it's essentially the 6 or the 8. And the same is true in here, it's the 6 or the 8. Now, if it happens to be an 8, that's the even digit. It doesn't matter which one I pick. If that's the 8, that would have to be the 7. This forces a 6, doesn't it? Then obviously that evicts the 2 off that and places it in here, places a 4 in here, places a 2 on there, and then I can't reach 8. And then that forces this to be 6 and then forces this to be 7. So I'm sort of playing around with it to try and understand what's going on. And then the 4 in here tells me that would be a 4. And it all works out. Yes. Right, so one of them is a 7, one of them is even. Which, to be fair, we kind of knew because the options are 6, 7, 8. And we're not repeating the digit. Once you remove the 7, there's an even digit on there, which is 6 or 8. Now, I'm going to try... Nothing breaks when I have them as separate Renban lines, 2 through to 7 and 3 through to 8. Does it break? I know I've tried this already, but does it break if I try and force them both to be the same? So what would that mean? So if there's an 8 on both of them, means there is no 2. Yeah. So this part is obvious, I think. if there is an 8 on here, there is no 2 on the Renbans, no 2s on the Renban, and then suddenly the only place for the 2 inside the 12 and 10 cage is forced to be inside box 5. So double 8 is definitely off the table. Now, a double 6, what does that do? So can I have a double 2, a double 6, and no 8? So essentially, I remove 8s from all of these. I end up with a 7 in here, a 6 in there, and then, of course, a 7 in here, a 6 in here. So far, so good. And then an 8-9 pair. That's all fine. That becomes 1, that becomes 7. All of that is fine. Now, this ends up being 2 or 4. Essentially, it's this cell. This also ends up being 2 or 4. Essentially, it's this cell. And we know they're different. So I'm not seeing a problem with that. So I'm kind of now starting to wonder if I can't actually force this at this stage, and I actually have been spending far too long trying to force it when I probably should have been admiring the rest of the construction. Is that kind of the gist of it? That's the sense I'm now getting. Okay, let's have a think. What am I missing? Remove these, don't need them. This Renban and black Kropki dot is kind of catching my attention, as of course this Renban in the 25 cage. So let's have a think about these. Now, I can start dismissing some options. I can't have 2 in here, because that would put a 4 into the neighbor, and because I can't have a 1, 2, 3, this has to be 2, 3, 4, and I've repeated digits. So no 2. 3 and 6 seems to be getting on fine. It'll be 5 and 4. There's room for all of this. So 3, 6 works. Presumably 4. Can I do 2 in here? I can absolutely do 5 and then 3 or 6. Then of course I could do 4 and 8. And then I have almost like no pressure whatsoever. I could do as low as 2 and 3. I could obviously do 4, 5, 6 and some combination of thereof, 3, 4, 5, for example. This is not looking great. And then 6 and 3. Yeah, this is not helpful. Too many options. 25 cage. The tricky part about 25 is I can even get away with a 1 and then 7, 8, 9 and then a 6 in here. 2, 3, well, 3, 2, 7, 8, 9, 6, 4, 5. I haven't broken anything. Maybe what I need to do is a bit of coloring. Have a think. I mean, let's pencil mark column 5. 2, 4, 8, 9. I've got 3 odd digits, 2 evens. It's not very helpful on row 5. Maybe it's time to pencil mark these. So remember, these are 2, 4, 6, or 8. Can I remove options? That's kind of frankly the question, really. If I have a 4, so I have a 2 in one of these, forcing it to be 3, 4. But we've proven, and then that would end up being 4 with 2, 5 on here. Forces this side to be 4. Says 2, 6, 8 in here. Removes 8. Sorry, one moment. Sorry about that. So the side that has a 6 has to be a 7. The side that has a 7 is free to be 6 or 8. That's the challenge I'm finding, is that right, whichever one is the 4, it removes 4 from the Renban, it forces a 4 in here. Because you need to have a 4 on the Renban. So one of these is a 4. Then the other one, I just don't seem to be able to remove or choose from 2, 6, or 8. It just, they all seem equally valid. At 20 minutes, and we made a bit of a start, but frankly, nowhere near enough. I'm not paying attention. 1, 1. Sudoku, sleuth, Sudoku. This means that this is 1, 7, 8, 9. This is a 6. This is not a 6. That's a 7, 8 pair. That's a 9. That's an 8. Be kind in the comments. That's a 6, 7 pair. That's a 9. And yes, one of them has an 8. One of them has a 6. Anyway, that can't be 8 or 9. That's a 7. And it's either 1, 2, 3, 3 here, 2 there, or it's not 7, because 6 is not available. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. That is not a 3, that is a 3. We're starting to really get somewhere. Really starting to get somewhere. 4, 5 in here. No 2 in there. That's a 4, 5 pair. Over on this side now, I have another 7, 8 and a 9. Now the 9 can't be on the Renban because that's a 7 or 8, and I would need another one in here. So that's not the 9, that is the 9. Without the 9, my options are essentially 8, 7, 6 or 7. I mean, I can't avoid that. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Definite 1 in here. Twos between these two cells, 2, 4 pair in here. I'm half tempted to see if coloring is going to bring some kind of sanity to what I'm trying to do here. Where is 9 in all of this? Well, it's up here. Do more Sudoku, Sleuth. Always more Sudoku. 9 is in here. That's useful. This is not 1, 2, or 3. It could be 4, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I'll leave this for now. No 1s in here. The 3, of course, had given me 5 and 3. 5 wasn't that helpful as it would have been if it's on this side. I am going to color. So, we'll call this, I don't know, blue. We obviously know that they're different. Green. We know because they're 7, 8. That is not... So if this is 7, that's 8. And therefore that's 7. So I can't even color that. And the same as kind of the reverse. I know that we have 3 colors, but that's the challenge, is I can't figure out even how to color them. 6 in here tells me, because I have to have a 6 on this Renban, this is the 6, this is the 7, this is the 8, that's the 7, and I was just sleeping for a bit. That now tells me there is no 8 on here. Does it say that? No, it doesn't. This 8 tells me there is no 2. So we know that much. So that's the 2, that's the 4, that's the 2. Doesn't stop this from being 2. We've covered this before. It tells me that's the 4. Oh, with the 8, there is no 2. There has to be a 6. That's the 6. That's the 1. That's the 7. Sorry, I made this way harder than it actually was. Like, much harder than it actually was. All I needed to do was a bit of Sudoku and a bit more Sudoku. The logic was largely flawless, but just my Sudoku wasn't. Right, we may as well pencil mark these. I think we're kind of, I don't want to say home stretch because, you know, who knows what's around the corner with this puzzle. We're now talking about 1, 2, 8 and 9. No 2s in here. No 1 in there. No 9 in here. Not hugely useful. So I think we're going to have to do something with these Renbans. No 3, not very significant. No 6 or 7 in here. So that was essentially the extreme digit, wasn't it? 5 or 8. If that's 7, that is essentially a guaranteed 6 because that would be 5 or 8. If that's 8, that would be 5 and it breaks. So 7, 6 with a 5 or 8. 7 in... Oh, actually, sleuth. Seriously. I made it look like such a grand reveal when Sudoku was just telling me what it is all along. Don't know what I'm doing now. 4, 5 and 8. Yeah, genuinely still options. Okay. And these two cells are now known. They're 8, 9 pair. Which one is going to be on the Renban? Well, it can only be the 8 because the 9 is no longer available. So this is 6, 7. Which one can be on the black Kropki dot? 6, 7, 3. No 7s is a 7. 8, 9 pair, that's a 1. That's 289 over there. Over here, that's the 4. This is 25. That's the 5. That's the 2. I think we've got this. 4, 8. 8 would require 7 and 6. That would be this. No, I can't have 6 on either. So it's not an 8. That's 4. That's 8. Now I feel like I have a ton of options. I could do 3 and 2. I could do 3 and 5. I could do 4, 5, but not 6. So given I can tap out at 5, I have to have a 3, and this is 2 or 5. Excellent. Can I force any more decisions here? So I mean, we've kind of got all the Renbans, kind of. And really, it's just coming down to Sudoku now. 3s is a 3. These are 2, 5, 8. That can't be an 8, so that's 2, 5. That's a 2, 5 pair. This is not 5. This is 2, 8. 2, 5 pair in here. I need 1, 6, 7. No 7s is a 7. 6, 1. 2, 5 tells me that's not a 2. That's not a 9 either. This is 4 or 8. In fact, in this row, I've got 4, 8, 7. That's the 7 because it can't be 4 or 8. That's another 4, 8. That is not 4, 8. This is 2, 9. And in this row, I've got 2, 9, and 1. Not quite enough. This is 1, 9. This is 1, 2. In the column, I have 1, 2, 6. That's not 1 or 6, so that's a 2. That's a 1. That's a 6. That's a 1. These are not 2s. That's a 2. That's a 9. 4, 9 pair. That's an 8. That's a 4. This is just a known digit of 7. I have 2, which gave me 8, 9, 4, 9, 8, 5, 2, 5. Lovely. Home stretch now, I think. Not 8, that's a 2. And we're kind of out of pencil marks, so let's just do a bit of Sudoku to hopefully wrap up. I still need a 3, a 5, a 3, a 5, and an 8, 9. Nope, can't place any of them. 2, 4, 3, 5, and 8, 9. I mean 5, 9, 5, 8. Not hugely helpful. I have another 5, 8, and a 3. I can place here. That's a 5. That's an 8. That's a 9. That's a 5. That's an 8. That is 6. And if I've not made any more mistakes, I don't think I've made many. It's just really struggled with basic Sudoku. We solved the puzzle. It is a fantastic puzzle. There's no doubt about it. It's a fantastic puzzle. And I'd say kind of aptly named with the chopping action that's happening around box 5, where I think I just sort of took way too long. It was just how much this broke open the puzzle, and then a few more Sudokus along the way that just really opened it up. But hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle and that you did some Sudoku along the way so that you found this much smoother than I have. And I'll see you back soon. Bye-bye for now.